Good evening, folks. Welcome to the September 29th, 2015 Selectmen's meeting held in the Selectmen's chambers at Townsend Town Hall. I'd like to call the meeting to order and roll call, please.
Carolyn Smart present.
Gordon Clark present. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to announce that the meeting is being tape recorded. Chairman's additions or deletions. I believe I do not have any. And, thank you. Andy, can we have the 1.5 town administrator updates and reports, please?
Sure, just a couple of quick items. Next week, the Devon's Household Hazardous Facilities Center will be open on October 7th and 10th from 9 to noon. The Devon Center continues to be a success for all the communities that have joined it. Added a couple of communities since it first opened, so continues to work well for residents of Townsend and residents of the other communities as well. I was at a meeting today over at Devon's with Thatcher Keyser. Thatcher is the town manager of Devon's. He has a much longer title than that. He's an employee of Mass Development. He called a number of us together to talk about ways that we might collaborate on public works type issues, see if there's anything we can do in terms of everything from joint training opportunities to shared services, things that we might be able to do to become more efficient or save costs. So, preliminary meeting. I'm going to follow up. We'll have some more meetings as time goes on. It may develop into something. Maybe that nothing comes of it, but it's a worthwhile conversation to see what we can maybe do together. We signed the community compact a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me. The Department of Local Services has already reached out to me regarding the three projects, the budget document, the forecast, and IT. So I'll be working with them over the coming weeks to solicit prices and get those projects underway. A couple of them, it turns out, there will be grants. It's not just technical assistance. Some of it they'll do. Division of Local Services will do. Mass IT, which is the Information Technology Division of the state government, will do. One or two of them may be consultant driven. So, and those would be paid. The consultants would be paid for by the state. So. It's continuing to evolve, so as we hear more from them, I'll have more to say on that. And the cash reconciliation process is moving ahead. There's a memo for the board update from Debbie Christoph updating you on that. So that's moving in the right direction, and I think we'll have continued good news as that goes forward.
Thank you. Thank you to Debbie. If I could just, so I don't forget, on the Devon's interagency training there, if they happen to have any training for our highway and for our parks and highway when they work out the road so that they can have safe work sites, two reasons I'm interested in that is that from a liability that the town that we're actually setting up notifications so that people know this work sites, but I really care about our employees and I don't want them out there hurt. So I want, if we could get some training, you know, it would be a lot cheaper if we did it together. I just think that's important that when they're working out there, our employees, that we make sure they're safe. So thank you for that.
So, Gordon, I have a few things. We had our first DPW exploratory meeting last week, and the committee is actually formulating a mission statement to be reviewed at their next meeting, and they've been talking to area DPWs, and they're going to have folks come out and talk to them about what their process was when they went through it, and then they're going to incorporate some meetings with our departments in town. So I just wanted to give you an update on that.
Thank you.
I also went to the Conservation Commission meeting, and we had some good news on the Squanicook River cleanup. as long as we don't get too much rain anyway. We have a permit to do a large section of the Squanicook now. I did write to Brian Riley because I was concerned about liability to see if there's any type of waivers, and they would have to be there's not a license for chainsaw, but you know, a trusted contractor that can use chainsaw. So we're just looking at trying to find a date once we hear back from Brian Riley and organizing the volunteers to get out there. Leslie Gabrilska is going to ask for an extension on our permit. Right now it expires October 15th, but she doesn't think there'll be a problem with getting an extension. So I'm hoping that can be done before the end of the year in time for the canoe race next year.
Just 1 second, please. Holly, do we need to take a break for a second? Or we just pause for a second?
Okay.
Thank you. Folks, we just, so everyone else who hasn't come here can listen to what we're saying, that's all. Take your time, Holly.
I'll do it again. Hold on. You didn't have a picture, you had sound.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know what's wrong with
All right.
the camera keeps going off.
All right, we'll give you a couple minutes here, and if not,
Right,
we'll...
it's back on now. I don't know how long it'll stay on.
Okay. If it changes, if you could just let me know, we'll pause.
Yeah, we'll take a break, Hartley, if you
No,
need.
no, we're back on. I hope it stays on.
That's fine, thank you very much.
thank you.
Carol, thank you.
Oh, your light just went out, Hartley.
Just went off again. All right.
It's all right.
I don't know what to do. Okay. No, I don't think it's a bad cable. It's just the camera itself keeps shutting itself off. I don't know why.
It's on now.
All right. Okay, the problem is the camera keeps shutting itself off. I don't know why.
Okay, so I guess we'll just go with the flow and make the best of it. Is that okay?
I'm sorry about this.
Don't be
That's
sorry.
okay.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Carol.
So, what else did I have on here? I was hoping to, Gordon, we could schedule a future meeting with Ed Kugler. We have some additional funds in the $100,000 for sidewalk design on 119. I thought maybe we could get as many areas done as possible and get them on the tip list over there for Mass Highway to install them.
Is that like 73,000, if I'm correct?
Approximately, yeah.
Andy, what do you think about that idea?
The town meeting vote was for design.
It's off, pause.
So if you're using it for design on 119, I think it would be okay. If you're proposing to use it for construction, okay.
No, just to get it on the tip list, and it's a short project, so if you have a few funds left over at the end of the year, they'll do small projects like that. But I did talk to Ed, and he was going to look at the different areas of 119 to see what would be the most advantageous to us, you know, in terms of safety. Maybe from the high school down to the harbor would be one, maybe in front of Sterilite would be another, but I just
So
told him...
pick Pacific areas.
Yeah, and see what we can design for the amount of money that we have left. I mean, obviously, we can't get a complete sidewalk in, but...
And then there's also the option, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that if we had a small part that actually needed to be fixed, we could ask the special town meeting to
Repurpose the funds.
that money.
Yeah.
Does that make, so at least we're starting a conversation on how to handle that? Does that sound good to both of you?
Yeah.
All right, I'm cool with that,
That's
so.
fine. And then the only other thing is I started working on policies. I haven't gotten a complaint policy, but I did draft a couple others I wanted to give you and Andy to review and
Great.
add to. And one's for the use of credit cards. We got a Inspector General update, and they really, for departmental cards, they really want us to have something in place.
Awesome.
And I didn't find much online for that, more for procurement cards, but the other policy, the media relations policy, I kind of hijacked from Chelmsford. They seem to have the best written one.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that work. It certainly helps
Yeah.
us all out.
And then the only other question, two questions I had, Andy, actually, I know we had spoke before about some training sessions with Coltman and Page. I know we had talked about having board trainings. Did we? I'm just sort of touching base to follow up. Did we?
Yeah, we didn't schedule anything. We were waiting till summer was over. We had talked about that, I think, back in June or July. I can certainly follow up with Brian on that.
Yeah, I thought that would be good to, you know, I went to conservation meeting and it was very good. You know, things seem to be working, but it always helps for folks to have additional trainings.
What, in that regard, how do you want to do that? You talked before about like a mandatory Saturday meeting for boards and committees or something like that?
Well, we
Or
can't
do you
make it
wanna do-
mandatory, but
Or do you want to do evening training, or how do you, what's the...
you want to reach out to the boards and committees and see what they'd be interested in? Maybe send out a memo looking for feedback? ask them what's most convenient for them, a meeting night or Saturday morning. I mean, we held them on Saturday mornings before, but that might not be convenient anymore, so.
And if I could just input here is that if we could ask department heads if we're able to appropriate for our contracts for training or whatever, is what kind of training they think might be more beneficial right at this point to help them do their jobs and their employees. I think that'd be reaching out to make them part of the process.
Yeah, we have so many free resources
Right.
available, so.
Thank you. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and then the only other thing I wanted to ask about is our charter review. Are we going to put that off, or are we going to try and address any of those?
I was sort of thinking, and I'm open to what you and Andy think, is that it might be fairer if we wait until we have a full board.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
that's
that
fine. We can
we're
address it in the
including
spring.
the whole community, whoever the people, want to be the third
Oh,
person here.
that's fine with me. I was just following up to see what.
But I think we should, I think when we do updates like this, it keeps us on a track, so we don't forget about things.
Okay.
And when we have so many things on the table, it's easy to forget about stuff, so I think that's good to have.
Like a special election.
Anything else,
And that's
Carol?
it.
Only because this is my little pet peeve now that the kids have a building over there, is salt. I heard while I was in Aruba that you people had a salt conference, and this is so you people don't have to sweep sand in the springtime. Could either one of you give us a little update on that?
Yeah, we were both there. I thought it was very educational. I'll let Andy speak to it. He was there longer than I, but.
Yeah, I was there for probably half the session. It went from, I think it went from 8 in the morning till about 2 o'clock, and I had to skip out around 11, so I didn't stay for the whole thing. Certainly the general direction the communities are going is away from sand towards salt. It's not, like everything, it's not the perfect solution. And so I haven't had a chance to sit down with Ed and sort of follow up with him, but if he's going to be coming in to talk about sidewalks, I think it'd be a good opportunity to talk about it with him at that time as well.
I'm just trying to keep the community abreast of things that we're actually trying to do to improve the quality here in Townsend, and that's a tribute to Ed Kukla, our highway, and to Andy, and to the board, that we're trying to make the roads safer, save money, and also decrease cleanup time on our lawns. So that
They did a great job. The trainer actually had a lot of spreadsheets within his PowerPoint presentation, and I know Ed said we can get a copy of that. Maybe you could get that for Gordon, Andy?
Yeah, I'll see if I can get hold of
Thanks a
it.
lot.
And we actually did a breakdown. He had brought us kind of a spreadsheet, and we would actually end up using less salt than we
Gotcha,
are now.
yeah.
And it was everything that you had talked about. I was very impressed.
Thank you. All right. All right, if it's all right, we're going to move on to, I don't have any updates at this point. Approval meetings of July 28th, 2015, and August 25th, 2015.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for July 28th, 2015, and August 25th, 2015.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Appointments and hearing 2.1. Our Chief, Robert Demora, and his Executive Officer, Lieutenant Giannicotti, if you could come right up here, please, and join us. The Chief and the Lieutenant have been very busy here during our transition, and I spent some time with the Chief today, and I can't tell you personally how thrilled I am about the job that you two are doing, stepping up, and I appreciate that, and I think it's going to make whoever ends up being selected to lead us into the next area where our department is going to be in a better position because of your work, so I thank you for that. So if you could just give us a quick little things about what's going on.
I think the first thing is, naturally, in the last couple of weeks, I met with everybody on the staff. I met individually with the staff members also. Personally, to talk to them one-on-one, not all of them on one-on-one, but the majority of them. But I spoke to them as supervisors, as the patrol force, and as the dispatchers in different meetings. And it was quite interesting that the issues that anyone had anywhere else in any law enforcement position, we have some of those here. Very simple solutions to a lot of the problems. For instance, some of the problems Patrol came up with, just cosmetic issues that we at the police department have done some changes already because they were real simple. Dispatching, Clearly, it's told by the dispatchers, their biggest problem right now is they need some new seats. Because if you really look at it, and use the analogy of a police officer gets into a patrol car and that's his office, the reality is dispatchers are spending 10 hours in seats that we probably have to replace at least twice a year. As simple as that is, it's so important because of the time that you're in those chairs, and it's a quality of life issue. But in the scale of what we worry about sometimes, buying cruises, spending a lot of money, doing these things that we typically do, making sure everyone has ammunition for their firearms, CPR training, all the training world, sometimes it's very simple. So I think speaking to the individuals that I have in the last couple of weeks have opened my eyes to the department, which is right up there. There's some changes that are needed. Clearly found immediately that there wasn't any training in the areas of supervision, especially in the area of internal affair investigations. None of them had it. Lieutenant scheduled all 3 supervisors to go to the training this month, which is local, and it's very minimal cost. And so we'll be doing that to bring them up to speed, not to do internal affair investigations, but what you'll learn in that course, which I've taken many a times in my career, and the most recent last year before I retired, was that it's something that you look at about just the general rules and regulation on discriminatory issues, or issues that you're required to by statute of your authority in the town of Townsend as being a police officer, what you're required to do. We forget about those the day after you get sworn in because we're answering police calls. So it's so important to get that routine, mundane training. And you just mentioned it about training. It's so true. We want to, and I reiterate what you said, Gordon. I want to make sure the officers are safe. I want to make sure that no one's going to get hurt because of something that we could have done a little better, or has taken some time and get the training that was needed. Because it's like anything. Police academies trained officers 20 years ago, and the majority of towns around here have 20-year veterans. Well, we're not training them the same way they were trained 20 years ago. We're using, more techniques that it's very calm and effective relationship versus taking the offender down and, arm bars and using the PR-24s. Well, it's more gentle. We talk about the community at Lenthing Police Academies now. So that's what I'm really excited about, is the transition in law enforcement that I personally see as we go forward. One of the things the town administrator asked me to look at when I got here was the status of our accreditation. Just by chance, the lieutenant went to some training today, so I'll let the lieutenant speak on that behalf because I think it's important.
Well, accreditation, we certainly, it's been a work in progress. We started this 10 years ago, and we are certainly moving forward and have all the policies. But part of the problem is every policy, or most of the policies, have standards that are associated with the policies, and we have met a lot of them throughout the 10-year process. But we still need some work. Property room, for an example, we need to meet those standards, whether it's for audits or for accreditation purposes. We need that. And again, it's a work in progress, and it's a living, breathing document. Just because you may get accredited someday, you need to maintain it. And it's a daunting task, and I know Deputy Prophet did it before. It's achievable, but again, we need to maybe add some resources to that cause. And I hope I did reach out to Joe Roy some time ago when I went to a conference that
he's retired captain from West.
He is retired, yes. And but he does a lot of per diem work, and I suggested we maybe hire him per diem just to kind of get us acclimated to those standards. And some of it is reports. They request or require specific reports, and if you don't know what those reports are, it can be kind of confusing to try to have that there. So that may be an option for us to do, is to just on a short-term basis. And I think if we do that, we're probably a year away from actually getting at least a certification.
So what I like about this is that we're prioritizing the chief here and yourself, and I see you as the bridge to the new chief, and that's important, because all the work that, and his experience of 40 years here, which we're so blessed to have, is going into you to help you be a command officer, but it's going to also help whoever we select to do a better job for Townsend. So I think, I like what I'm hearing here, and I think the board's committed to getting you the tools, but as you know, it's taking balances, but we hear what you're saying, and I'm looking forward to rebooting the department. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but we can always do better. And we have a great captain of the ship here to get us in the direction for the new one to come in. And one last thing before we go to executive session here is we're going to undertake a very serious process here, which I think is necessary, and it's the selection of our new chief, who probably affects the daily lives of more than any other person in our community. And law enforcement is changing. And so it's so important that we do that. And we're going to hopefully do an assessment center. So Chief DeMora has been, everywhere I go, they tell me I did a good job by hiring him. It wasn't me, it was the board. You could just speak to us about the importance of nowadays assessment centers.
Sure. Very different than, when I grew up in the system where promotions to the rank of chief and deputy chief are running an organization, probably the third or second largest organization in any city and town in Massachusetts outside of the school department. It's your police and fire, budget-wise, personnel-wise. So prior to that, we would just have books, and you study for the chief of police position. You would probably study about 12 or 13 books, and have to know them verbatim. And books very thick. And if whoever scored the best became the chief. Now that person could know nothing more than what's in those books. He might never looked at a budget, never mind taking his own budget at home, and kind of knows how to handle budgets. He may have never talked to an employee, never mind discipline an employee. So what the assessment center does, and clearly I've been an assessor for the state in this area of hiring chiefs since the beginning of time that they've had them here, is that the assessment center itself is a very unique setting because it allows you to see up and close if the candidates have some of this personal stuff. That one thing you can guarantee with a police officer that's applying for a police chief's job, they know how to do police work. But can they stand behind a podium and talk at a press release because something horrific happened in town, or something happened in the river, or something really bad? Can he get behind a podium, or she behind a podium, and start talking bullet stuff that's going to amaze people and saying, and at this point I can't answer questions because of the issues at stake. It's an ongoing investigation. So you're going to see that. You're going to be told how that person will do there. Or you may see, especially a setting which is really needed, as a chief, you'll talk to a subordinate, and that subordinate will have issues. There could be some serious issues, maybe substance abuse or domestic violence that you're dealing with, and you have to make decisions based on that incident that we present to you within 5 minutes. And then you have to try to elicit all the information that you can from that employee in a setting that typically is recorded. And then you see how good that person can do. It's no longer just the books we're looking at. We want to make sure someone can stand up in front of community and say, thanks for coming, folks. I want to talk to you about the public safety in towns and the community policing programs we're going to implement. Well, for some of us, we can easily do that, but it's hard for others. So you'll see that, and what happens is that the person that's sharpest rises to the top usually. And it's something that I was had to take part of in the state of Massachusetts since the beginning, and because it just makes sense. We don't have to ask questions about what's the rights of arrest to a person applying for a chief's job. Can you balance a line item budget? Can you look at a budget? And I want you, if you called me today and said, listen, things bad happen, you're going to take 5% off your budget within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do it. Because I've done it. So it's baptism by fire sometimes, but the reality is you have to know those things. And this assessment tool brings that person up to the top, that you will say, hey, this is a good candidate for our town.
Thank you. And what we're trying to do is better communicate with those we serve. And I appreciate you starting the process of what we're trying to achieve here. And what we're trying to achieve is to bring forth the most highly qualified person that we can get for the money. And that's the thing, is that this field is extremely competitive. And you're going to have to pay for quality. But I want to make sure we have quality long after I'm not sitting here.
Absolutely.
And that, we have a person to look after our young people and our seniors, but also be today's technical.
Right on top.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. I'm just trying to educate the people that why we're doing this, and I thank you for that.
And one thing, if I close my public remarks, is, I always said that, your public safety entity in the city, especially the police department, is the linchpin to economic development. Without a good, visible police organization, someone driving down Main Street today and says, I want to open a store here. Well, if they don't see police, and if they don't see it in the right light, they're going to just drive through and go somewhere else where they feel safe. So the importance is visibility in police officers, and that's one of the things we've talked about this week internally, is that you don't think people want to see you. They want to see you. They don't want to see you at 2 o'clock in the morning, though, pulling them over. They want to see you in a good light, talking to them, being stationed somewhere where you can say, that cop's been there for the last week. I bet he's going to be there. I'm going to ask him that question about insurance or registration. Or Sally or Jimmy's not doing well in school. Can he come and talk to my kid at home? That's what we're trying to incorporate here. And what you folks would call community policing. I just think it's policing. But the reality is we've got to remember who we police is the community. And sometimes it's not all that negative stuff that we see and are involved with. Let's bring the positive stuff to light. So I think that's one thing, especially what I've seen in Townsend. And I'd be amiss if I didn't mention today, I went with the facility director and I visited a number of the buildings. And I'm taken back by the beauty of some of these, especially this building, the senior center, the library. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's right behind our police station. I can walk to it.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that the work that's been done over the years here, so I applaud that. You're heading in the right direction, and I think you're heading in the right direction in how you want to pick your next police chief.
And thank you for getting us to the next level, because Townsend, this is from my heart, is such a beautiful place. And due to the volunteers in this town, and dedicated employees, and also to our generous benefactor, but just there's wonderful people here. And I want to be glass half full here.
Sure.
And so thank you. Folks, at this time, we're going to, part of our, trying to lead by example here, customer service. If you all can sit here and be comfortable, we're going to step out into an office outside, us, the chief, for an executive session. So at this point, I would like to enter into executive session pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy of deployment of security or personnel devices. This requires a roll call count.
And to reconvey in open session?
Thank you for helping me there.
Second. Roll call, Carolyn Smart, yes?
Gordon Clark, yes. Just stay where you are, folks, and we'll try to be quick and relax. Welcome back, folks. We just returned from executive session. We're going to open session at 6:45 p.m. Chief, do you want to leave us at this time? Not that we're trying to get rid of you, or do we? Okay. I just want to make sure you're not obligated. You give us a lot. I was with you. You gave me some time today, so I appreciate that. At this time, 2.2, we have a meeting with the Board of Health Chairman, Jim LeClure, to address the board. Jim, if you want to come right up here and have a seat with us, please. Welcome. What can we assist you with tonight?
Well, first of all, good evening, everybody. I want to start off by saying that at the candidates' nights for the previous 4 elections, I've always asked the question, who's the boss, the selectman or the town administrator? And I've always had the answer, the selectman. Well, recently we've had a situation where the Board of Health changed from Trish Genter back to myself. I've been a member of the Board of Health for 13 years. I have another year and I think 8 months to fulfill a 15-year commitment to my town. There's a situation right now in hand with keys to the building inspector's office, and the Board of Health has always had a key to that office because there's times when we have to get in there when our administrative secretary may not be available or somebody else who might have a key is not available. And 2 meetings ago, there was a mistake made where the keys were locked into the office because Carla made a mistake and didn't unlock that.
And just for, I don't mean to interrupt you, could you just say who Carla is for those people?
Carla is the administrative secretary for the Board of Health.
Thank you.
She's been involved for 7 years, and she does a good job.
Thank you for that.
I've been in the process talking with Andy to try to achieve a key, and he told me to talk to the building inspector, Richard Hanks, and get permission from him because something had gone misplaced in his office. So I spoke with him, and he gave me the okay and emailed Mr. Sheehan email to give me the opportunity to have that key.
So, if I could, just so I can follow it here, so Mr. Hanks sent an email to our town administrator, Andy Sheehan,
Yes.
stating that he had no issue with you receiving a key for that area.
That's exactly right.
Okay, go forward then.
That's
I just need
exactly
to break
right.
it down so I understand it. Thank
So
you. Be patient.
I approached Mr. Sheehan and asked about the key, and he said he hadn't made a final decision yet whether or not he'd issue the key.
Okay.
So I paid him a second visit. At the time, he was with our new fire chief sitting in his office. I didn't want to be rude, but they said, come on in. So I went in and I made a comment to Mr. Sheehan. Mr. Sheehan, do you have the key for me yet? And he said, there's no key for you yet. And I said, did you get the email from the building inspector? He said, yes, I did. And I said, so when do I get my key? And he says, well, I have the final say on the keys, and right now I haven't decided if you're going to get one yet or not.
Do you remember what date that was?
That was approximately a week and a half ago.
Okay,
on a
that's fine, just so I can
Thursday
follow the
afternoon.
timeline. Thank you. Okay.
And I feel it's pertinent that being the chairman of the Board of Health, because I am the chairman, and I do a lot of stuff for this town, and if you look at my track record, the Board of Health, with my leadership and the assistance of the other board members, it's been very successful in assisting the Townsend members, household members that have to work with septic systems especially, and saving them money and giving them long-time, life-lasting septic systems. We've made some major changes, and Townsend has the best septic systems in the state of Massachusetts.
If I could just say something to respect to you, is that I don't think anyone on this board here questions your dedication to the town of Townsend and to everyone else who serves on that board. But I think the issue, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, is about assignment of keys to access to this building. Would that be correct?
It's not to access the building.
All right.
I have the key to come into the building,
All right.
and with the...
So
the,
to the area that's, so I understand that that's where the building commissioner is, that door outside there, and also the office for board
I
of health.
have an office key to the Board of Health, but
Okay.
if the building inspector's office is not unlocked,
All
I
right, so the
don't...
door that goes from the hallway in there.
And I had that key prior to the tumblers being changed. The new keys are being administered to the people. Like I say, Chris Genta was the chairperson at the time. And when he gave me his keys back when he was no longer chair, that there's no key to get into that office.
I'm going to just recognize Carolyn, and then I'm going to ask Andy.
Yes.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
So, just for background, because I was up here and issued the keys for a long time, the Board of Health chair and any chairman had keys to access the building, access their office, and access the mailroom. And I think Jim McQueer had them. Chris became the chair. He gave him his keys. When Chris left the Board of Health and Jim became chair again, he gave him back his keys. But in the interim, I guess the building inspector was having some issues, and so he changed the lock. So Jim has a key to get in the building, he has a key to get in the Board of Health office. He just doesn't have a key to get into that area, and it looks like Rich. I think this was just a lot of miscommunication. I can't imagine Andy has a problem with issuing the key.
All right, well, if it's all right here.
Yep.
Andy, could you just bring me up to speed here, if you don't mind?
Well, my understanding is that Jim has a key, so I think it's a dead issue.
Let me just ask that. Do you have a key to gain that?
I had a key prior to the tumblers being changed.
But today, right today?
I have no key today.
All right. So, Carolyn and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, is there anybody who objects to him being issued a key for that door?
No, if Rich is fine with it, I'm fine with it.
Andy?
Well, Richard had changed the lock
Okay.
because of
Security
concern
issues?
about security of
Okay.
that office.
Mhm.
I don't know why. When Jim first asked me, he said it was because Carla locked herself out. He needed a key so that she could help her out when she locked herself out. I think that's a kind of a light excuse. There's other ways to address that. When he came in, while I was meeting with Chief Boynton most recently, he said that that wasn't the reason, and that he was entitled to a key because he had been the chairman longer than I had been the town administrator.
Right.
I don't know what that has to do with the price of tea in China either.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, Carla told me that she was uncomfortable with Jim having a key. Rich had previously been uncomfortable with Jim having a key. I don't know what's changed.
Okay.
I don't know why the board, frankly, I don't know why the board is getting into this level of detail.
Well,
Part of the reason you hire a town administrator is to manage the day-to-day operations. This is clearly a day-to-day operational issue.
okay. But on the other hand, I think that, and I agree that day-to-day should be held by you, but on the other hand, I think that managers and chairmen of boards need a place to go when they have a question about whether they're being treated fairly. And I'm not implying in any way that someone's not being treated fairly. What I'm saying is they need to have a place where they think they can go and get an impartial hearing of the facts. And that's all I'm interested in here is the facts. So, are you Carla's supervisor or not? Please.
Yes.
Okay. Does everyone agree with that?
No.
Okay. What is his relationship then?
Carla reports to the Board of Health.
Okay.
Just as I report to the Board of Selectmen, I don't report to you individually,
Right.
Carolyn individually, or the third member individually.
Okay. All right. So, okay, I get that. So, Carla reports to. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
for clarification, the Board of Health is Carla's appointing authority. It's a Mass General law.
Right, but Jim is not her appointee.
All right.
Oh, I follow what you're saying,
Right.
and I agree with them.
Thank you.
And you do have another Board of Health member here tonight.
That has nothing to do with this meeting
All
and
right,
this question.
let's state to the facts.
Don't even start,
They're
Andy.
not posted.
Please, both of us.
I'm simply pointing out that there's another member here.
Folks, can I do the direction so we stay on course here, please? Thank you. My second question is, Mr. Hanks is sort of the person who has oversight to that area, that door. Has he said that at this time, he feels confident with the chairman here having a key? Do people agree on that or not?
That's exactly right, because
Okay,
I was in his office when he sent the
All right,
email.
help me get through this, please. Thank you. Carolyn, that's your understanding?
That's my
All right,
understanding.
and Andy, that's your understanding? Thank you, three. We're going to work through this without emotions, all right? I'm going to try for everybody here. So I guess let's just, before we go any farther, maybe we can solve this quick or not. Do you have a problem with Mr. Leclerc having a key?
No.
Andy, do you have a problem with Mr. Leclerc having a key?
Well, when I talked to him most recently, I said that I hadn't made up my mind.
Okay.
I wasn't saying yes and I wasn't saying no.
Ah.
I still don't know why he needs a key.
All right. So are you saying you're opposed to him having one, or you don't know?
I haven't heard a compelling reason why he needs a key. Not all board members or board chairmen have keys to the offices.
All right. I'm going to do...
And maybe they did in the past, but
Thank you. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recognize Carolyn, then I'm going to recognize someone from the audience. Thank you for all keeping the decorum here. Yes, Carolyn.
There's been lots of times when the health administrator is on vacation or absent or any of those things, and that's why the Board of Health chair always had keys. Chris had one, you had one, Linda Tarantino had one. We've been without a Board of Health assistant before, and they've had to come in and maintain, their day-to-day operations. So I just think it's, something that can be easily resolved, and it doesn't need to.
I'm not going to take a lot of, but Madam Clerk, if you could just, I know who you are, but I'm just trying to start a thing that we all say who we are so that the people out there know who's talking. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Spofford, the current town clerk. I used to be the administrative assistant to the Board of Health.
Which is, excuse me, is that the job currently held by Carla?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. In 2004, when I started, there was a food emergency at a restaurant in town, and the Board of Health did need to come into the office, and I was not available. So they did need to come in to get records and to do certain things that the Board of Health does in this type of situation. And the chairman always had a key to the office for those emergencies. The Board of Health is a very powerful board, and they have to have the availability to get to certain records at any time of day or night when things happen.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go back to Andy, because I would like that. I don't have to make the decision here. Could you tell me where you stand at this point, Andy, please?
My opinion hasn't changed.
Which is what?
I haven't decided whether I think the chairman should have a key.
And do you anticipate when you're going to have an opinion?
I'll give it some more thought. I will. I'll also add, on a matter of personal privilege, I don't appreciate the board violating my individual rights by inviting an individual in here to make complaints against me and failing to give me the statutorily required notice.
All right, we'll stop right now.
Genie's out of that bottle.
Wait. Can we slow down here, please? I didn't hear that any point there was complaints issued against you, and I will... Wait, please let me speak. All I heard was there was a issue about a key being issued. If there's a complaint, we will either go into executive session now...
It's too late.
Can I please speak here, Andy? Help me work through this, please. Or we will reschedule and we'll come back and have a conversation. All right? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't hear anything that was complaints. It was just about whether I'm entitled to a key or not. So I don't see where that's personal against you, whether it's a key or not. If you think it is, we will stop now and go into executive session.
I do, and I think it's too late.
Again, I'm not asking you that. And I will only go in executive session if Carolyn Smart believes that we should.
Well, if Andy believes that there's a complaint against him, we can deal that differently, and that would require 48-hour notice, so we can schedule that in the future. But I think for this purpose, right now, we should focus on the request of having the key, and if need be, we can continue.
Because I didn't see this as a complaint.
I didn't hear it as a complaint, but Andy obviously feels differently. So.
All right, let me just ask this here, because we're getting off track, but we have to go slow. Are you here, Mr. LeClaire, and think about before you speak, please, to request a key be issued to you because of your responsibility as an elected official?
That is the sole purpose of me
Let me finish,
being
please,
here.
because it's very important, okay? Not disrespect to you, but I have to make sure that everyone's being treated fairly here. Or are you here to file complaints against Mr. Sheehan? Just yes or no, please.
Refresh me with the question.
The question is your purpose here tonight before the Board of Selectmen to have conversation about being issued a key that you think you deserve to be issued? Or is it partially or in full to have complaints against the Town Administrator Sheehan? Just yes or no, please.
The intent is to receive the key.
Okay, so you are not here to air any complaints against Mr. Sheehan?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, I'm looking for, just from the people up here at the desk, it's not disrespect, I'm trying to go slow and get this right. Carolyn, do you have any advice for me at this time?
I think this has really gone down the wrong path, and if he needs a key, let's just issue the key and move forward.
All right. Trying to think how to word this, Andy, so we get back on track here. Are you satisfied that Mr. LeClaire is here just for the point of about the key issuance here?
No.
Okay. How should we handle this?
Well, you got two separate issues.
Yes.
Mr. LeClaire said he's here to request a key to access
Right.
his office. If Mr. Leclerc wants to file a complaint against Andy, then we'll serve the 48-hour notice and schedule an executive session. So I don't really think one has anything to do with the other.
I actually haven't heard a complaint against Andy, just the process was disagreed with. So, going back, I try to be respectful of our managers. So I'm going to go back to Andy, respectfully again, and ask that at this time hearing the information you've been given, past history, current history, if you object to a key being issued to Mr. Leclerc.
If the board would like to take a vote to that effect, I will issue a key.
Okay.
If the board wishes to get into the day-to-day operations of...
That wasn't my question. I don't want to get into day-to-day operations. I don't. On the other hand, I'm trying to involve you in the process. Very hard, I'm trying to involve you. But I understand that, unfortunately, sometimes there are personal issues between people. I'm trying to stay above that, and I'm trying to get everyone else to do that, and to base our decisions on facts. And I'll give you a chance to speak here. So I'm trying to get to a fair resolution about a key, not about anything else. That's all I'm trying to do. Andy, you want to be recognized?
Just as a point of reference for the board, this will be the first key that I've issued to a board member in my time here.
Okay.
If you want to go in that direction, that's the board's prerogative.
Well,
I'm just
important.
telling you that for perspective.
And so I understand that. So no other board member of any boards in this town has a key?
No board member or chairman has requested a key from me. They may have them because there are probably thousands of keys, at least hundreds of keys floating around.
All right, well, that's like a catch-22. All right, Carolyn, you want to be recognized?
Well, since I issued the keys for many years when I worked here, the board had never written formal policy, but that was always the policy of the Selectmen's office, is that the chairman of the board got access to the building, into their office, and to their mailbox, because oftentimes your staff people are not available, or not oftentimes, but frequently they have vacations, or they may be sick, and business still needs to be conducted. So, to Andy's point about thousands of keys, there is a sign sheet that everybody has to sign. All the keys are numbered and coded, so on the sheet you would write the code to the key, and that person would need to sign off that received it, and when they returned it, it was signed off and dated. So I think hundreds of thousands, hundreds of keys or thousands of keys. I'm not sure how many was actually purchased when we redid the building in '99, but I don't think that's a security is an issue.
Okay. You done, Carolyn?
Yes,
I didn't
okay.
mean to be rude to you.
No, not at all.
All right, what I try to do, folks, is I try to listen to everybody and pay everyone due respect. And hopefully that they come to a decision. I don't think they're going to do that, so I'm going to have to make one here. So I would entertain if someone wanted to make a motion to issue a key to the chairman of the Board of Health, and on that motion, that if there's any issues that come up due to that key being issued, that day-to-day operations, town administrator Andy Sheehan will come back to the board with that. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fair middle ground? So I will...
Do you need to make that part of the vote, or just for the record?
I don't know. I'm looking for guidance. Andy, do we need to make that part of the motion or not?
I'll leave that with all due respect to the board.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Spofford, do you want to say something quick before I go forward?
I just want to make a note, from Andy's perspective and from his perspective, if the Board of Health wasn't where it was, he'd have a key. But you're having to go through the Board of Building Inspector into his office to get to the Board of Health office.
Gotcha.
But the Board of Health...
That's a valid point.
And the Board of Health, retained, gave him the permission to have a key to that door.
Back when this building was designed, unfortunately, that we all loved, they never thought we would have this many boards. So,
It wouldn't be a...
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But that's a valid point. And so if we come up with a way that we could give more separations to those departments, that'd be nice. I don't know if that's feasible. But tonight, I think I need to try to move forward to do the people's business here. But that's something I will keep in the back of my mind about how we use the building. So thank you for that.
And to that point, Mr. Sheehan did put on the capital plan, it was approved, a key card system. So that point might be irrelevant when that gets put in. and I'm not sure what areas, I thought, Andy, it was just your offices and the outdoor keys, but that might be something we can look at in the future. And that would eliminate his concern about keys being out there, as well as security issues.
Those are valid concerns. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to listen to everybody here, but at some point, when they toss balls, I have to make a decision. And this is a toss ball, folks.
So, Mr. Chair, would you like me to make a motion?
I will entertain one.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the chairman of the Board of Health be issued a key to the door leading into the building commissioner's office.
And,
And I'm going to state it for the record, the other.
okay. Second, and motion's been moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And for the record, that any issues with the issuance of a key to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen be brought back to the Board of, to the Board of Health, be brought back to the Board of Selectmen.
And could I just expand that? Any, just so we cover broadly, and I'm not telling you how to say it, I'm just thinking, any issue with keys that Andy feels free to communicate with us, and that
Absolutely.
we'll be fair, and we'll address those issues, because there's valid points and everything, and sometimes I have to find a middle ground here. All right, folks? So,
Absolutely.
thank you for being respectful to each other. I appreciate that, and we do more when we work together. So
When can I plan on receiving the key?
I would not think it'd be delayed, all right? That's well, all right?
I didn't get that when?
I wouldn't expect to be any delay.
Any delays?
Yeah, so it'll be reasonable. Just give us a
Okay.
chance, okay?
Shall I contact Mr.
So
Sheehan?
he'll contact you, and if you don't hear within a reasonable time, we'll take, but I'm sure that won't happen. Andy's very professional when we ask him to do stuff.
Okay.
So, we expect, thank you for your service to the town.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody up here, for the patience. Next, we're running late, I apologize to you folks. 2.3, AFSCME, which me and the chief were members of 40 years ago. We were proud to say that, 93. Is that still your local 93? Well, we were paying members in 1975, him and me both, so. Anyway. The representative is here to discuss a request for voluntary recognition of a collective bargaining unit. The board may enter executive session pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss strategy to respective collective bargaining. Sir, could you please come up and join us?
Yeah, I'd actually like to request that we do go into executive session, if that's all right with the board.
Okay, I'll ask my fellow member, because we need two of us to do that.
Sure.
But what I will tell you before we go in there is that my opinion, not hers, is that we're going to seek, before we say a word to you, guidance
Yeah, that's perfectly fair.
from our labor representatives. So,
Understood.
do you want us to go into executive session to tell you that?
I'd rather just, a couple words.
Carolyn, are you interested in going?
Yeah, I'm not sure, I'm a
No.
little unclear on why we'd be entering if we
All
were
right.
going to be bargaining.
Could you be more specific? Because we have to vote.
All right, so my first question would be then, am I going to get an answer tonight? No? You're going to...
Well, there's two of us here, and we would have to confer.
You want to confer with council first?
Absolutely, I think that's the
No,
prudent
that's
thing.
totally understandable.
You would do that if you were representing
Oh, absolutely.
your members. Well, I represent the people.
Absolutely.
And,
No, I understand
that's no
completely.
disrespect
Well,
to
no.
you. And,
Yeah, I understand completely.
I can tell you this, that I will probably, with the rest of the board here, ask Mr. Sheehan to contact our council and to start advising us how to proceed.
Sure.
So I guess that starts the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's, I think, not to waste your time or...
Well, no,
And
you got to do your duty.
and you're here to do your duty. And
Exactly.
so, it would maybe assist us in moving forward if any pertinent information you give to Mr. Sheehan that may assist him to come to determination how we proceed.
Sure thing.
Does that sound good to you, Andy?
Mm-hmm.
And Carolyn?
Yeah.
Always good, pleasure to see you. Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, at this time, is there anyone that we could move up that's here waiting? If it's all right with Andy and Carolyn here? We're a little behind, and I would like to, is anyone waiting to go before the board here?
No, I think it's all meeting business.
All right,
now.
I just would, I would, whenever we can, we try to move you up so we can let you go about your lives. Okay, so we're going to proceed to 3.1, discuss the process of recruiting a permanent police chief. votes may be taken. I'm going to start with Andy, if he doesn't mind, and then we'll just do a round table here.
Just as, I think the board would prefer to do this, well, you can't really do it in executive session, but we went out to, or we solicited proposals from firms for police chief recruitment and assessment center. We sent it out to four firms. We received responses from 3 of them. They do remain privileged records until such time as a decision is made. I don't know if the board wants to, I think you both just received them yesterday or today. So you probably haven't had a chance to chew on them too deeply. I don't know if you want to put it off till a later meeting, or if you want to talk about it tonight. I also know that timing is a concern, so.
Appreciate that. Carolyn, do you have any input?
Well, I did. Andy made me a copy and put in the box, but I didn't realize it this evening, so I've barely been able to skim it.
Okay.
Would you be open to possibly having a work session next Tuesday to address this? And
I would. The only thing I will state is that I've been doing a considerable amount of work and talking to communities, to some of the vendors, and to some of the people who went through the processes. So I've been trying to bring myself up to speed so I understand more already. So I would
then
have...
I'll take your lead then, if you've already reviewed it. And
I haven't
involved.
reviewed 2 of the companies I'm very familiar with,
Okay.
through professional, through 50 departments.
Okay.
2 of them, and I've made calls to people who've used them, and I know 2 of them personally professional. Both of them are retired chiefs who are the best of the best. And then the other one, Andy was nice enough to recruit, but I haven't had time to look at that one. I was wondering, and I'm going slow here, if that work session, we might want to invite one of them out to explain to us how
Sure, if
the
you
process
think it would
goes
be
forward. And
beneficial.
what do you think about that, Andy?
Yeah, I think it's important enough that you don't want to hire sight unseen.
Okay, and then that person, whether we pick him or not, be able to sort of tell us the best way to proceed, so we don't make mistakes and we get it right.
No, that sounds great.
We're against a timeline, folks, but we want quality work. And so I guess we're going to have to balance here and push ahead hard, but I think the 3 of us working together, we can set up a process that's going to start, and then my goal is to develop a process, but that goal will also involve whoever is elected on the 17th becomes part of that. But we can't wait to that date to start the process,
No, I
because we'll
agree.
be into
I agree.
August. But the final decision, I want to be that whoever's elected on the 17th is, at the Board of Selectmen, at the election, is absolutely part of the final decision. And so, but unfortunately, due to the position we're in now, we can't wait.
No, and to begin the process to
Because the
review.
chief here actually already has commitments very soon for other places who want services, so we have to step up and do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And I don't think it's good to continuously have transition over there, so we get...
so Carolyn and Andy, if we could just look at next week here, what dates will they be?
Tuesday is the 6th.
All right.
Well, why don't we do this, Gordon? Why don't we tentatively schedule it for next Tuesday, depending on the availability of the assessment center?
Okay.
Because I'm flexible any night next week if it's a problem with scheduling.
Yep.
It doesn't, we don't necessarily need...
So that would be the 15th? No.
No, it would be the...
I'm still in Aruba time,
You're
I'm
in
sorry.
September. It's
Okay.
already October almost.
All right, so it'll be the 13th, is that correct?
No, week before, right?
The 6th.
Yeah.
All right, is that correct, the 6th, Andy?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're on the same.
And which individual do you want to...
I think this proposal to me, have you had a chance to look at this one?
I did skim through it.
And he just seems to have this 4 pages of communities he's done already. So whether we pick him or not, I think he has the most experience in this, so we may get the most information from him.
Okay.
So if this person we could contact, and what time would be?
I'm very flexible, so whatever he's
Okay.
available to meet with us,
And that sounds like a...
anytime after, 4 o'clock.
Okay, and I think, I always leave Tuesdays actually open for town business now, even though we don't have a meeting. So is that good for you?
Yep, I'll reach out to him
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Andy. And then
Yeah,
Andy will let us...
yeah, just let us know when he's
Yeah.
available, and we'll schedule
Yeah,
around him.
Yeah, exactly. So your only restriction has to be at the 4. Sure, go ahead.
The new chief, I know an awful lot of people in town want to promote from within.
Huh?
Is Mark being considered?
He is not, and we've had I personally, and Carol, I believe, have had extensive conversations with him, and he's endorsing what we're doing. So Lieutenant Giannicotti, and who's now also our executive officer, knows that he has a great amount of talents, and that the current Chief Demora is taking him to the next level. And that our goal is that there's a pathway for it to be his time down the road. So that's not a reflection on him, it's just
He's going to learn a lot from Mr. Morris.
and hopefully from our new chief. I agree with you. And that's, believe it or not, that's one of the reasons we went out and we found a man of his quality, not just to help day to day, but to give us a bridge to the future.
People in town to know
Absolutely.
that he's not being considered.
He-
They can get that out of their mind.
We are going outside, and we will just develop specific, with the guidance of professionals and the experience of the boards, there's a lot of experience up here, we will come up with a criteria for what we're looking for. And the nice thing about this assessment, we'll explain it more to the people down the road, is that it's totally independent, and these people are professionals at it. They almost guarantee their work, and it's...
That's a good way to go at it.
That's what we're trying to do, and
Yeah.
so, and it's totally impartial.
Yes, impartial.
And then, but the town sort of, it's like, if you go to buy a house, you tell the realtor, okay, these are the parameters we want, and they go find that for you. And so, it's a lot more intense than that, but we'll tell them what Townsend's about, what our goals are, expectations, and all that, and they will develop. It's very intensive. I know a lot of people go for this and they fail miserably. Very intelligent people. It's that intense. So it's going to be a process, and we'll keep people abreast as we go forward. So next week, we're going to have a work session, and Andy's been very helpful with me getting different quotes, and we've all actually been putting a lot of time in this to get it right. All right? So thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, I'll say that only because there's 2 of the 3 here. We have, the current board has every intention of the final outcome of this process, because we're going to advertise and it's all going to be done correctly, is that the decision won't be made until there's a full board. All right? Because we want,
Cindy appreciates that, too.
Yeah, well, that's how, you know what? And that's what we're about, it's doing the people's work. And it's up to the people who they decide, it's none of my business. What I'm trying to do is have a process. We're in a difficult thing here with just 2 of us, but we're going to make do, and we're going to do it right. And so whoever's sitting here is going to be part of that process, but we have to start the process. And thankfully, God has blessed me to be in a position to have a ton of talent in this area. And Andy and Carolyn have a ton of talent in other areas, so together we get it done. All right? So, all right, I think we're ready to move on. Andy? All right, thank you. Sorry. All right, we're moving on. We have a lot of stuff to catch up on here. Review and approve the request of Cemetery and Parks Commission to declare a surplus a 1997 green Ford pickup.
Andy, is there any value to it? Are we just going to say per Blue Book value like we
Yeah, I
usually
would
do?
say per Blue Book. Typically, that's what we do for these older ones.
Yeah. All right, so I would move that we declare a 1997 green Ford pickup as surplus with value determined by Kelly Blue Book.
Do you need to do something before we're done this motion?
Could I just ask a quick question?
Can I just do this motion and then we'll come right...
Pertaining to that.
Okay, well, that's fine, thank you.
So, is there any use of that left maybe that the Assessor's Office and Conservation could use, or that other people could, it can't be given to us because of the Green Communities Act, but if it could be kept functioning?
Well, an older pickup truck, I don't know, I guess we could have Andy assess the vehicle, but if something that old is going to require, usually Cemetery and Parks uses everything until there's nothing left of it. So I don't know what it would take to make it safe. I mean, ordinarily they wouldn't be getting rid of a vehicle unless it was rusted out or...
Last legs.
Yeah, so we could certainly... We can still declare it surplus, and Andy can inquire about a departmental transfer, but I think we're better off looking at maybe, I know in the past they like to trade in their cruisers, but maybe we can look at some of the trade-ins that'll be coming up next year.
Okay. And if you still can, if you declare it surplus, that's...
Yeah, it doesn't mean it can still be
Doesn't stop
transferred
that.
to another department, so.
So we'll ask Andy to give some thought to it, but here's the bottom line, is that there's always balancing act here, and Andy sort of reminds me all the time, we're always trying to get the fleet smaller, because the fleet costs us a fortune. And so, because they're obviously going to replace this for a vehicle, and so now we'll have another vehicle on the books, so, you know, I know everyone likes to have a vehicle, but at some point we got to control the size of the fleet, so.
Well, like with conservation and assessors, they go out on site walks or site visits, so we reimburse them mileage right now. We can always do as part of our budget, looking at how much mileage reimbursement, which I think we should do anyway. We should probably look at how much mileage reimbursement we are paying to employees versus whether it would be more cost effective to have one vehicle that's shared and they could like schedule it or something. But I think that's something part of the budgetary process.
And I think if
Capital planning.
Andy's great, when he sees stuff that might, with ideas, he comes to us, so if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I didn't know if I should just quick interject before you...
That's we appreciate it.
But even if Andy looks at it and comes
Okay.
back and says, I think there's some value, just because we declared it surplus doesn't mean we can't use it.
Still can't do something.
And I found Andy have good judgment in these matters, so, thank you. Want to finish the motion, please?
I'll just start over.
Okay. It's all right. I'm trying to...
So I would approve the request of the Cemetery and Parks Department to declare a 1997 green Ford pickup truck as surplus with the value to be determined by Kelly Blue Book.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3.3, review and approve request of Fire EMS Chief Mark Boyden to accept a 1996 Stewart and Stevenson military trucks for the Federal Excess Property Program. Said truck is to be used for forest fire fighting. Andy, do you have anything to say on this?
In your packet, there is a picture of the vehicle. We're getting rid of two trucks that, one of the two trucks that we received previously through the Federal Excess Property Program. They were given to us some years ago, and the chief is returning one of them rather, and replacing it with this particular vehicle that's shown on the photo in your packet.
Thank you, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a common program. I know the fire department has, like Andy said, taken vehicles from there. I think our highway has before. When you're done using them, you just give them back, so it's kind of a win-win that way. So I would make a motion that we approve the request of Fire EMS Chief Mark Boyden to accept a 1996 Stewart and Stevenson military truck through the Federal Excess Property Program. Said truck will be used for forest firefighting.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3.4, Carolyn, before I read this here, it's a standard Unitil permits thing. Just to keep you in the loop, I had asked Andy, he's got 1,000 things on his plate, if he could look how we just reviewed some of our permit prices with Inspector Hanks, and when he has a chance, he's going to talk to our highway superintendent. I think it's time that we might want to up these to be with current other towns, the fees that we're charging.
Yeah, and I'm not sure on the
think it's
Warcross
$100.
altar permits, if that's statutory or not. Some of the permits are set by statute.
He's going to look into it for us and get back to when he has a chance. Okay, Andy?
And Andy, speaking of that, there's lots of surveys going around. I know we got one every year. Maybe we should look at all of our permit fees as part of the budgetary revenue projection process. But, yeah, I agree with that.
All right, thank you. When you get done, the first 100 things we have for you to do. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request by Unitil to cross, alter, and construct within a public way for the following locations: 8 Elm Street to abandon a gas service, 178 Fitchburg Road, Lot 1 to install a new gas service, 164 South Row Road to install a new gas service.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
3.5, 3.5, review and sign response to open meeting law complaint filed against the Board of Selectmen. Votes may be taken. Andy?
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. These are the Unitil ones there. 3 for the chairman.
Thank you.
The board asked me to prepare the response to the Attorney General. It is very similar to the response that was issued in response to the prior complaint. I just noticed that I've got the date wrong, so I will update that. But if the board is okay with the response, you want to sign it, we can send that off in the morning.
Yeah, it's almost verbatim like we talked about to the last one, because it was pretty much the same complaint. So I'd like to make a motion that we have the chairman sign, and Mr. Sheehan can forward to the Office of the Attorney General.
Okay.
And I read it into the record at the last meeting, so I don't think there's a need to do it again, do you?
No, I don't. Andy, are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, we don't need to do anything
There
else?
should be a motion, actually. But
All right.
Yeah, so I'd make a motion that Chairman Gordon Clark sign the response to the open meeting law complaint for Lord Dole versus the Townsend Board of Selectmen, and forward to the Office of the Attorney General.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Andy, thank you. I know these are time-consuming. I appreciate you doing it. Thank you. Let's see. We're on to... Try and catch up here, folks. Vote to sign the acceptance, 3.6, vote to sign the acceptance of Franz Waldo Miller, Post 199, American Legion, located on Main Street, West Townsend.
So this is for the conveyance of the property from the Legion to the town. The acceptance has to be voted and signed by the board. The chief is going to bring it to Copeland and Page tomorrow, and they will record it tomorrow, and we will become the owner of the American Legion.
That's good news for our station. So,
How are we doing with the quote process or the bid process for the demolition? Do you know, there was a question on what chapter we're going to...
Yeah, I had an email exchange today with Copeland and Page. The most recent question was, had to do with asbestos and whether that is a service, and demolition or a building project, and demolition whether that is a service, a public work, or a building project. They're both 149 building projects.
They're both 149? Oh, good. I'm glad that was resolved.
So we'll have to decide if it makes sense to do the demolition, the remediation and demolition sooner, so, this fall, or if it makes more sense to just wait and do it all as part of the construction project.
Do you have any thoughts on that? What would be the best route?
I don't at the moment. No.
Oh, I'm sure that'll evolve. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we sign the acceptance of the Franz Waldo Miller, Post 199, American Legion, located on Main Street, West Townsend.
second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll sign it there, Cal. 3.7, review and sign letter to Secretary Kimberly Bose, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, regarding the Kinder Morgan Pipeline Project.
This is what Carolyn Sellers had done for us.
Yeah, I lifted quite a bit from her letter, and she saved me a lot of time in drafting.
Yeah, I mean, the request makes sense. Look at the whole entire scope of our energy needs versus,
Correct.
piecemealing it. So I would make a motion that we approve and sign the letter to Secretary Kim Bose of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission regarding the Kinder Morgan Pipeline Project.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye. And maybe we could put it on the website for people to, it's 4 pages. I don't know if you want to sit here and read the whole thing, but...
Yeah, we can put it up.
Okay.
Is this just where I sign? That's it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right, appointments of personnel and officials.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommendation of Alice Struthers of the Townsend Meeting Hall Gallery Committee to appoint Joan Blanchard to the Gallery Committee for a term effective from September 29th, 2015 to June 30th, 2016.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye. I have a question on the, do we need to vote the rule of necessity on every vote for the payroll warrant, Andy? Was
Yes.
that in every one? Okay.
Yes, every
So
time
I'll
you
take that in two
use it.
separate.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we sign the bill payables warrant out of session.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we interject the rule of necessity and sign the payroll warrant out of session.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
And just so folks know, that's just to dispel any appearance of a conflict, and that was suggested by our town council, because I'm an employee and your spouse is too, so.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. Do we have anything else, folks?
I think that's it.
Well, thank everybody for all their help tonight. Got a lot of work done.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Jody. And Mr. Chair, with that, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of September 29th, 2015 at 7:34.
Second, and motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, folks. Thank you.